everybody. Hope
Morning.
everybody is doing well. How are we?
Good.
Morning.
Um, for those of you who don't know me, I am Shantae Rankin. I am the Finance and Office Manager at ArtsGreensboro. And we are here this morning to discuss our shared services platform. And so I'm just going to sort of walk you through the why, the what, the who, the how, and then what I call the wow, which is a couple of testimonials from participants who are currently enrolled in the program um, and give you some of their thoughts on how it's going for them. So after I run through the whole thing, then I'll be glad to take questions and we can discuss anything that you guys would like to know more about. And then after this is over, if you've got additional, sort of individual questions of a more specific nature, then I'll be open to scheduling a call or an email or whatever's easiest for you. So we're just going to hop straight in. So the main reason that we decided to launch the shared services program is because when the pandemic hit, we did a survey of arts organizations, and I'm sure some of you guys participated in that survey. And what we found was that most organizations didn't have a dedicated accountant or bookkeeper handling their finances. It was either a board member or the ED whenever they had time, or a part-time person who had 4 different hats that they wore. And so we got together, Laura and I, and we thought, what can we do to sort of mitigate this problem, and what can we do to help these organizations so that they can have reliable and timely financial records? And so the shared services platform is what we came up with. And we just tried to give you guys a sense of stability and consistency when it came to financial reporting. The reason for that is because whether you're applying for funding or planning for the future, making sure that the lights stay on and the bills are all paid, you have to have an accurate picture of where you are financially in order to do any business, really. So you want to make sure that you can project your cash position. You want to make sure that you really understand what your financial statements are telling you. You want to make sure that you can track your year-over-year revenue and expenditures and understand what those trends are telling you and what you need to be doing differently because of those trends. You need to make sure that your bank reconciliations are current and that you know what you have in the bank and what you have outstanding. So if any of those things are things that you cannot do right now, then shared services is a program that you probably need to look at a little bit more in depth. Just having someone watch your trends and understand your financial position can make the difference, especially right now during a pandemic, when cash is so tight for everyone, making sure that you can plan for the future and survive for the future. Budgeting. Budgeting is a huge, huge thing that we need to make sure that everybody is doing and that everybody is doing realistically. So we want to make sure that we're looking at our current year-to-date actuals and comparing them to our budget so that we can track where we are and what we're doing right and what we need to adjust and figure out where we need to go forward. And also understanding that a budget and a cash flow projection are not necessarily, they don't necessarily line up exactly. Your cash kind of flows up and down, particularly in nonprofits. The highs are really high and the lows are really low. You often get large sums and then you have periods of really low periods of donations. So you have to make sure that you can make that cash sustainable through those low periods. So budgeting and projecting cash flow is what makes you able to do that and able to make sure that you can weather those storms of low contributions. So here's what we do with the shared services program. Number one, we get you ready for the next steps in building capacity. We make sure that you have all the tools so that you can apply for those grants, and so that your financial information that you're presenting in those grants applications are reliable, and that they're accurate, and that they paint the organization in the best light. Um, Financial literacy. You can call me at any given time and say, okay, we're getting this grant, or I'm doing this grant application and I'm not sure how to do this. Can you look over my budget that I'm submitting for you for it? Can you help me with my 990? I'm not sure what line this goes to on the 990. I'm not sure, whatever those questions are. I don't know how to record this in QuickBooks. I have all kinds of questions that come to me all the time, and I'm always here and available to help you with those. A real-time understanding of your cash position. So at any given moment, you should understand what you have in the bank, what you have outstanding, and what's coming down the pipeline. So we want to make sure that all of your financials are accurate, so that you know all those three things at any given moment in time. Financial statements that are easy to understand. One of our shared services participants said to me, you demystified my financial statements for me. So, all of those things that I thought were so far above my head, you've presented them in a way that makes them easier for me to understand. So I try and, break down those accounting terms for you in a way that makes sense, and that you understand what you're looking at and what it should be telling you. Cost savings. Our standard rate for shared services is $40 an hour. I would challenge any of you to find a reputable accountant that's going to charge you $40 an hour for that type of service. They'll probably charge you triple that at least. So we're doing this in a way that will hopefully save you money for your organization, so that you can direct those funds towards your mission and not towards administrative cost.
Dante, can I ask a question?
Yeah, absolutely.
So getting back to the financial statements.
Yes.
If say how we have been reporting previously is not maybe the way that you report, how is there a way to kind of combine them, or look at what's the best option for reporting? Because I'm sure we are doing it a very old school way.
Absolutely. And we would look at it on a case-by-case basis and determine whether it's sort of worth the effort to go back and try and correct old stuff, or whether we should just, look at this fiscal year and correct what's in this fiscal year and report, a different way for this fiscal year, rather than going back to historical data. We would just have to weigh, the viability of those options and see which one made more sense for your organization.
Okay, thank you.
Absolutely. And then advantage number 6 is just transparency and accountability. So, for your board, for your funders, for your constituency, you want to make sure that you're accountable and that you're transparent with your finances, and that it's very clear what your financial position is at any given moment in time. So with shared services, we handle the day-to-day maintenance of your QuickBooks, your invoices, your expenses, your credit card transactions. You control your own cash, so you make your deposits and then you provide us copies and backup. And we just do that just to keep cash in your house, so that you're responsible for your own money. And then you just give us backup and we record it in your QuickBooks. We do have some organizations who leave us control of their checks and have us write checks for them, and then the ED comes and signs them. We have other organizations who maintain control of their own checkbooks, and we just classify expenses. So again, we can tailor this to your needs and preferences. There's not a cookie cutter approach to the way that we do this. Monthly, we do your bank reconciliations and your monthly financial statements within 10 business days of the close of the month. Annually, we provide assistance with audit and 990 prep. We don't currently, Steve, I know this was a question that you asked. We don't currently have the capacity to fully complete your 990 for you. That's something we're hoping to look at a little bit later down the line. But right now, what we have done in this past year is just sit down with the ED and assist with 990 prep. We've even gone through QuickBooks and made notations in the accounts, in a chart of accounts, so that we know here's which line we recorded this to in the 990, so that next year we know exactly how we classified it, and we know what we need to do going forward so that there's consistency. And then a sounding board for financial questions. Again, if there's something that you don't quite know how to do in QuickBooks, or that you have a grant, for example, you have a 3-year grant, and it's for a huge amount of money, so you're going to show this huge influx of revenue in 1 year, and then you're going to show a deficit in the next 2 years, right? Because all the expenses that come from that are going to be recorded. So we look at the best way to record that. Do we need to record years 2 and 3 as deferred revenue so that it balances out in the following years? And so we look at the most feasible and logical ways to do those sort of one-off things that you might need a little bit of assistance with talking through. So the who, we have myself, at the ArtsGreensboro Finance and Office Manager. I have 15 years of office management experience. I've been a corporate controller for a conglomerate of 8 car dealerships with multi-million-dollar budgets. So I have managed a lot of budgets and a lot of money over my career in finance and office management. And then we have Deb. Deb, wave to the people. And Deb has 20 plus years of office experience. She comes to us from the retail side of things. So she is magnificent at budget and sales projections and understanding trends and those sorts of things, and inventory, if we have anybody on the call who manages inventory for earned revenue. So you get the benefit of both of our expertise. And Deb, I'll just give you a minute to introduce yourself to the group and say anything that you'd like to say.
Me?
Yeah, go for it.
Oh, okay. All right, I'll start first. Hi, everyone. It's really nice to be here working with Shantae. Shantae is amazing to work with, and Laura is also. I think this is really a beneficial service for everyone in the community and nonprofit. I've been really impressed with what I've seen so far since I've been there, and I've only been there for a month. So
awesome. Well, thank you, Deb. And then there's me. And again, I have been with ArtsGreensboro for, I'm going on 1.5 years now. It's been an absolute privilege to work with so many of you guys, and to meet you and learn more about your organizations, and to offer any assistance that I've been able to. So that has just been a joy and a privilege, and I hope to learn more about you guys and work with you more in depth in the future. So that's us. That's our shared services team, and we're hoping and looking to grow with this program over the next couple of years. So hopefully the team will expand going forward. But right now you've got, I think, two really dynamic people to work with on the team. And so this is the how. So, if you were to decide, I love everything that I've heard so far, I want to sign up for the program, here's sort of what happens next. We always have an MOU with a confidentiality clause. So any information that is shared with Deb and myself about your financial position is not shared with anyone else. No one at ArtsGreensboro, not Laura, not our board, not any third party without your express consent. Unless you tell us, I want you to produce this report for ArtsGreensboro, there will never be a moment where we will share your information with anyone else outside of our team. We do require that you use QuickBooks just for ease of use, because it makes it easier when you have a team of two to have a little bit of consistency there. So we do ask that you use QuickBooks. When you sign up for the program, I will schedule an initial call or Zoom chat with you just to go over where you are right now, who's doing your finances, who has been doing them, are your bank accounts reconciled, is your financial statement up to date, where would we be starting from, and what are the needs that we need to fill for you. Again, we have some organizations who require an hour a month for us, and we have some organizations that require 15 hours a month from us. So, we want to make sure that we're giving you the most bang for your buck and make sure that we're meeting the needs that you have in the most efficient way possible for your money. And then we do have a contract. It is for a 1-year term, but there is a 30-day opt-out clause. So if there's any point where, you feel like we've gotten to a point where we can afford a part-time or a full-time accountant dedicated solely to us, as long as you give us a 30-day notice, then, you're not married to that 1-year clause. But we do sign up for a 1-year term because we want to make sure that we're setting you up for success. We don't intend for this to be a long-term solution for everybody. We really sometimes are just acting as a backstop, when you're in one of those positions where we're not quite ready to hire somebody, but we need to make sure this is done in the meantime. So for some organizations, it does make sense that this is a long-term solution, but if it doesn't, we want to make sure that we're giving you options. Again, the fee is $40 an hour, flat fee. You're only billed for the time that we spend on your finances. So if that's a half hour, then you're billed for $20 for the month. If that is 15 hours, then you're billed accordingly. But there's no minimum that we require for you to use. We have one organization actually that we only do quarterly. So we do a 3-month recap for them because they have like 2 expenses that are monthly, and then everything else happens once a quarter. So again, we tailor the program to your needs. And then I'll end it and sort of end my portion of the presentation with what I call the wow. So we have a quote from Leah, who is the executive director at the Creative Aging Network. I'm sure you all know Leah. And she says, as a small nonprofit, we struggle to find an affordable and reliable solution for bookkeeping. This shared service provided by Arts Greensboro has meant I can spend more time focused on our mission. Our organization finally has a trustworthy bookkeeper, Shantae, to keep our financials up to date and organized. She's not only skilled, she's also super friendly and responsive. I swear I didn't pay her to say that. I honestly don't know how we would ever manage without her. And then we have Sherry, who is the creative director and founder of Shared Radiance PAC, Performing Arts Center. And she says, as Shared Radiance grew, I found the task of accounting more and more challenging. I had been handling the work as artistic director with the help of a board member. Arts Greensboro, Shantae Rankin, and the shared services provided have been invaluable to our growing company. I regularly ask for advice and assistance, plus Shantae reconciles the account monthly. Shantae is professional, extremely competent, warm, and always helpful. I sincerely appreciate the support that Arts Greensboro has provided.
And I'll just say unsolicited, we are not a part of the shared services yet, but I have reached out to Shantae on I don't know how to do this, help me. And she's been great. So that is an unsolicited wow.
Well, thank you.
And she's a notary. When you get some kind of bizarre thing that requires notarization, like a grant award, poof, she can help you.
Oh, didn't know that.
I do just so happen to be a notary, so if you need that service, I'm here for that as well. So yeah, that's it. If you guys, I'm happy to open the floor for questions now. Again, if you have some more specific questions that you'd like to talk about your organization specifically and your needs, we can schedule a call or have an email chat for that. or you know, if you say, you know, let's set up a time for me to go ahead and sign up for the program, then we can certainly do that. But I will open the floor for you guys and take any questions you have.
Okay, I'm Susan Magus with Harmony Music School.
Hi, Susan.
And I'm the treasurer and I do everything. I have an accounting background, so it's totally a volunteer position. But, you know, as we move to rotating new board members, you know, we don't have a fallback. So I'm really glad to tell our board that this is going to be available to them because, you know, as I rotate out, you know, they'll need help. Let me ask you this. We do have our ED is employed, so we do quarterly payroll reports. Is this part of what you all can do, 941s and all that?
So we don't have any organizations that are currently using or currently need payroll assistance, but that's certainly something that we could offer if you needed help with the 941s and those preparation of those tax forms. We could certainly assist with that.
Okay, we do. We e-file them, but you know, I know that whoever comes behind me is going to be freaking out about those kinds of things. So
absolutely,
QuickBooks does a good job of consolidating all the information. So okay, that's good to know. Thank you, Shante.
Yeah, absolutely. And you hit a point that I missed in the presentation, that, you know, a lot of organizations have a board member who handles the finances, but then when that term expires, you're either left with somebody new coming onto the board who's completely unfamiliar with how it was done and sort of flying in the dark, or, you know, you're unlucky and you don't get a finance person who has the time to dedicate to it. So, you know, again, that consistency and having someone who can handle that for you across the board is invaluable.
Right. Thank you.
I have a question.
Yeah.
I'm Jennifer from the Greensboro Ballet. I'm the executive director there. And Nina Munda is on here too. And she's our school director, which may seem odd that she's on here, but that's kind of how it is right now. And that's kind of my question is, before she became school director, she kind of handled a lot of the finances, but we're trying to take that away from her. I got the job after being marketing director, so I have like zero financials and I'm learning on the job basically the last year and a half. We do have a CPA that kind of comes in a little bit that helps us a couple hours a week, and then we do have a finance committee. So my question is, could we meet with you and like show you the 4 people or parts that are like trying to work on this, and then how we could kind of streamline and figure out like, okay, how exactly can we do this, and what could you all do for us, and what could we continue to do ourselves?
Absolutely. That is exactly what the program was designed to do, is to help you when you have a situation like that where there's not a dedicated single person, to sort of figure out what's the best solution here and how can we sort of standardize this so that it makes sense for everybody. Absolutely.
Okay, great. Thank you. I will definitely call you.
Absolutely. All right. Any other questions? I know I've talked to Roz and Stephen before about the program, so I know you guys have a little bit of familiarity with it, but any questions from you guys?
2 things.
Yeah.
One is, I'm assuming QuickBooks Online is okay.
Absolutely.
Okay. Second, how close do you get to the end of a 990? And let me frame the question a little bit differently.
Sure.
I know, particularly based on this past fiscal year, our QuickBooks and our 990 is not a 1-to-1 match. There are some differences. My wife used to be treasurer for the League of Florida Women Voters, and she, at the end of the day, had constructed this elaborate chart that would take QuickBooks values and stick them into the appropriate place for 990s. And therefore, she would be able to create a 990 that tied to the QuickBooks and vice versa. Mm-hmm. Can you at least get us there so that we could do the 990 ourselves?
Absolutely, absolutely. And that's what I did with one of the organizations that I'm working with now. We took the chart of accounts, we took the 990, and we created sort of a roadmap. This is where this should go on the 990. This is where this should flow. This is and then we made notations inside of QuickBooks in the chart of accounts that says 990 line 4, add this to, so that you have that roadmap. So, if heaven forbid I get hit by a bus tomorrow, you still have that roadmap, and you can do it yourself if push comes to shove next year.
Okay.
I think
Thank
the
you.
biggest thing for me is just knowing everything, what has to be filed and what has to be, which, like Jennifer, this is on the job training. I'm learning day to day, until the pandemic hit, I didn't do anything with the finances.
Yeah.
And so I've had to learn, which has been wonderful and very helpful, but sometimes it's very overwhelming. Coming from somebody from the creative side, now having to go to the business side. So I think if there's also that learning curve of, Raj, you have to do this, or this needs to be done, or
Absolutely.
this,
Mm-hmm.
because I don't know. I don't know
Yeah.
what all forms and what all taxes and what this and what that, and I can put on a show. That's what I can do.
Absolutely, absolutely. And yeah, that's it. You guys are creatives, and that's what you do, and you're amazing at it. I am a math brain, so that's what I do, and I enjoy it, and I'm really good at it. So yeah, if you need somebody to say, it's the 20th, have you paid your sales taxes yet, or your annual LLC renewal is due, or your annual report for the Secretary of State, or, all of those sort of things. Have you filed your refund from the state for your sales taxes? Do you need us to handle that for you? Send us your information and your receipts, and we can file that for you to get you that refund for your sales taxes. We do that. I have to do it for Arts Greensboro, so I usually run through all of my shared services folks and say, hey, I'm getting ready to file for Q2. Do you need me to do that? Send me over your receipts or your spreadsheet, and I'll go ahead and do that for you while I'm filing hours. So yeah, I have to do those same things for Arts Greensboro. So, I oftentimes will just send out an email and say, hey, have you done this? Do you need me to do this? So yeah, absolutely.
Okay, that's very helpful.
I'm thrilled to hear that you do the sales tax reimbursement letters.
Yes. I had an organization that signed up that hadn't done it for 3 years. And so we had to go back. We could only go back 3 years. They hadn't done it for more than that, but we could only go back for 3 years and get that reimbursement. But it was a huge help to get that money back into the organization. So yeah, absolutely.
We paid for our accountant the first year with what we got back.
Yeah. It makes a difference. It really does. Any other questions, comments, concerns?
I mean, this one might be directed just to us, but I'll say it quickly so I don't have to bother you in an email. But also because we will start to have, income coming in from like ticket sales and stuff like that. That's where I get confused. Well, now trying to figure out, when we report it to the board, ticket sales versus sales tax versus bank fees versus credit card processing fees. I'm totally lost. And we now move to, I don't know if you're familiar with Stripe, which is so we have Stripe now.
Yep.
But we just signed on to Stripe in January. So still trying to learn that and understand that and how the fees are associated and how we report those. Like my head is spinning because of
Yeah. And Deb does a lot of Stripe reconciliations daily. So I probably saw her wince a little bit when you said Stripe, because Stripe can be a pain sometimes, and sometimes the amount that you get in doesn't quite reconcile. You have one transaction that was run in March, but then the money comes in April, and how do you record that income?
Right.
And absolutely. So that's, Deb does that all day, every day.
Okay, okay,
And
good.
then, you know, then we make sure at the end of the month that everything is reconciled and everything is reported correctly. So yes, absolutely.
Okay, good, thank you.
Anybody else? Anything else? All right. Fantastic. Well, I am here and available if you guys have any additional questions. If you get off and think of something that you wish you had asked, feel free to shoot me an email or give me a call. Today is my half day, so I'll be leaving at 12, but I'll be back Monday, and I've always got my phone with me. You can shoot me a text. I'll drop my cell phone in the chat. So you can shoot me a text or an email or